Hey, good morning, it's Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Time for another one of my video blogs here on selling a tenanted property. I've done a few of these over the years, but I have to do one every year or two because this is probably the biggest mistake that I see sellers make, investors trying to sell a property with a tenant still in there. And they are, in my opinion, leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table, depending on the price of the unit. This one, I'm going to give you an example. This guy's probably going to leave 20 or 30K on the table. Of course, the seller will be none the wiser for it. He'll never know that because eventually this unit will sell. I have a feeling it'll languish on the market for a little while, but eventually he'll sell it below asking. But he would have no idea of what he could have gotten for that property by selling it tenanted unless he would have hired someone like me to sell it the right way, vacant, and open it up to a much bigger demographic of buyers. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm in my office here right now, and I see this every week on the MLS, dozens of these. Here's a two-bedroom, two-bath Yaletown condo priced just under $1 million. Now, it's a good unit, good building, good strata. It's got a lot going for it. In the agent's remarks, they've got a tenant in this property through until the end of May 2017. So here is why this seller, unbeknownst to him, because it's listed now with a tenant attached, is going to be leaving a ton of money on the table. They've got 7 months left on this tenancy. So you have to ask yourself, who is my market for this two-bedroom, two-bath, $1 million Yaletown condo? I can tell you that the majority of the potential buyers for this unit are going to be owner-occupiers. They're going to be buying this unit, $1 million unit, as a principal residence. You're not going to be getting very few investor clients that are going to be interested in this unit. For the simple fact that two-bed, two-bath, $1 million, sure, you could rent it and get a good rent for it, but you'd be much better cap rate. You could buy two one-bedroom units and get a far better cap rate. It would make a far better investment. So right away now, you have eliminated, in my opinion, 80 to 90% of your potential buyers on this unit. Investors aren't really buying those $1 million two-bedroom, two-bath. Now, what's left, the owner-occupiers, they're going to look at the property. They want to buy it and move into it in 6 weeks or 7 weeks, which is a standard completion time. They don't want to wait until June 1st next year to move into it. And chances are they don't want to move into it and assume your tenant for the next 7 months, become landlords, and then move into the unit when the tenancy agreement is up. It's crazy. The much better way to do this, if this particular seller here with this Yaletown condo called me up and said, oh, I want to list my unit, I've got a tenant in it. The first question I would say is, well, when does the tenancy end? It doesn't end until May. I'd say, well, geez, do you really need to sell it right now? Are you desperate? Why don't you call me back in May when the tenant's out and we'll list it then. Then it's vacant. We can show it easy enough. We can clean it up. We can show it anytime. And the possession dates are defined by the buyer. They don't have to wait 7 months to move into it. And we could also attract both a occupier or possibly an investor. It's open to everyone now. So if he said, no, I don't want to wait 7 months, I need to sell it now, I'd say no problem. What we'll do is we'll use a form called a mutual agreement to end tenancy. Now for him to get his tenant out anyways, at the end of the lease, he's going to have to pay them a month's rent anyways as compensation. A mutual agreement to end tenancy form, we're going to have to sweeten the pot, give them an extra couple $1,000, $3,000. But whatever we have to pay the tenant to get out early, I'll get it back for you in your final selling price in 3- or 4-fold, all day long. Because again, now it opens up the demographic to everyone. A potential buyer can come in and close on it in 6 weeks and move into it. We don't have to wait. Even if it was an investor client, when I'm representing my investor clients in buying units, oftentimes we'll see units that have tenancy still on them for 4 and 5 months. I just had one recently about 4 months ago where it had a 4-month tenancy left on it. A savvy investor or a realtor who knows what he's doing is not going to advise his clients ever to assume a tenancy. I sure don't. You want to get your own tenant in there. You never want to assume someone else's tenant. You don't know who this person is, what their qualifications are. A lot of times too, they're paying below market rent. So you're assuming them at a rent that isn't to what the current market is bearing. I had a situation here where the tenant still had 4 months left on the tenancy, and we're paying about $400 below what a new landlord or new owner could have gotten for rent on that unit. So I could do a whole other blog on why you don't want to assume someone else's tenant. You want vacant tenancy, you get your own, screen your own tenant, and put your own tenant in there with your own credit check and at market rent. So, this guy is going to leave money on the table by trying to sell a property with 6 months left on it or 7 months left. The problem is that most of them are unaware of it. The seller doesn't even know the mistake he's making on it. So, never sell a property. If you really have to sell your investment property, wait till the tenancy ends, or use a realtor who knows the Tenancy Act and can get your tenant out. You may have to supplement your tenant, but it will get you a lot more money in your final selling price down the road. There's a whole bunch of myriad of other little things I could include in this blog, but I don't want it to drag on. Essentially though, if it was for me, when people call me up wanting to sell an investment property, we get the tenant out, I sell it vacant, and that way I can open it up to any buyers, and the possession date is defined by the buyer now. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.